Hi, welcome to the Whiskey Chicks podcast. My name is Amy.
And I'm Amy's sister, Suzie.
We are going to be talking to you about Whiskey Chicks. You may ask yourself, what in the world is a Whiskey Chick? Well, it's a term our Nana, our grandmother, used to describe anything and everything, like a doodad or a thingamajig.
For our purposes today, Amy and I have framed Whiskey Chicks as those random moments in life that accumulate over time that compel us to grow, learn, and evolve. Whether it's good, bad, ugly, funny, or sad, with each Whiskey Chick comes a lesson, an aha moment, a lotus blooming from the mud and muck, resulting in wisdom and healing.
Whiskey Chicks have brought us both to a place in our lives where we love ourselves and speak our truths. The last thing Nana said to me before she passed on was, "Be true to yourself, little A." That was the nickname she had for me. The angel spoke straight through her in that moment, and I knew I had quite a journey ahead of me. It was that Whiskey Chick, the last Whiskey Chick she delivered, that set me off on an incredible growth journey. She is the force behind this creative endeavor. We dedicate every Whiskey Chick to her. We're grateful you're here.
Hello and welcome to the Whiskey Chicks podcast today. I'm Suzie.
And I'm Amy.
And here we are again. So Amy and I have been kind of really tired lately and loopy and stuff like that, but we look at the calendar and we see that Halloween is approaching, or for those of you that are into more spiritual aspects of this time of year, Samhain is approaching, aka the veil between the living world and the spiritual / ancestral / dead world is thinning. So you may notice things going on that are kind of maybe poignant, powerful, or different than any other time of year. But for Amy and I, we have been having some crazy ass dreams. Amy's probably more crazy ass than mine, but before we talk about those dreams, I just wanted to touch upon a few terms to throw out to people. One of them is you and I are, first of all, Amy, you definitely are, you vibrate on a higher level than I do, like for sure.
I don't know about that.
It's either that or I just haven't figured out, but like how to
You're
do
catching
that.
up.
But I know, but it's safe to say that you and I are 100% empaths.
100,000%.
1,000,000%. And so do you have just a brain definition of an empath, like in your mind, like what that you define that as?
Oh, goodness gracious.
As I Google it on my phone.
Empaths are sensitives. They have the ability to feel what other people are feeling. They're very open. They sense things. They typically can be strong in one or all four of the clairs, which is clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and what's the other one?
There's four of them?
Yeah.
You said audient, sentient, voyant. What do you mean there's four? I didn't even know there were four.
There's one more. I have it in my angel intuition book right behind me. But anyway, you're usually strong in one of the four clairs. And we can talk about that on another podcast. But meaning like you know things, you feel things, and people can't lie around you. You pick up on vibrations when you walk into a room. And I think I've talked about this before on past podcasts when, as a child, I was very sensitive and Mom punished me for it essentially. But I would walk into a room and want to puke, and then I'd leave and I'd be fine.
That's because she's a demon.
Well, no, anywhere. Like if I was someplace, I would immediately pick up on the vibration. But anyway, that's an empath. I mean, you're very sensitive and very open. And
to interrupt you, it's claircognizance.
That's it. Thank you.
That's a tough one. Jeez.
Yeah, that means you know things. So, well, as long as we're on the subject, clairaudience is you can hear things. It's like you'll hear like something will talk to you, and I I have that. I don't actually hear like a voice per se. I do in the night sometimes. Like I'll hear Amy, Amy. I'll wake up and be like, what? But it's like all of a sudden, like a phrase or a word will come to you. It's like you receive words and phrases. Um, uh, Clairvoyant is just, it's like mediums, right? You connect with the other side. Claircognizance is you know things, and then clairsentience is you just feel it in your bones, like the vibration, And so it's sometimes empaths have one, sometimes they have all four. So anyway, yeah. So back to what you were talking about during this time of year when the veil thins, and for those of you in Latin American, some cultures that you've got El Dia de los Muertos. That is Halloween. And if you've ever seen the movie Coco by Disney,
Disney.
You know what that thinning of the veil is. I mean, it's highly believed in that culture that that is the day to communicate with the ancestors, and it is, So we're not just making it up. Anyway, but yeah, come Halloween, it can get a little interesting.
I don't know. Sometimes I'll like be just like doing something at work, and I'll literally turn around and be like, "What?" Because I think someone's been like, "Suzie," and nobody's there. I'm like, I
Yeah.
swear to God, someone has freaking said my name, and then it'll happen like 2 or 3 more times, and I'm just like, okay, well, something's talking to me, and there's even sometimes, and this actually happened. Not that this has to do with Halloween, but I don't know if you remember this when Nana, the founder of our Whiska Chicks here, when she transitioned, we were at her house. And by we, I mean it was you, me, our brother Mike, and your daughter, my niece Sophia, and we were in Nana's bedroom. And like we never were allowed in that room really when she was alive, especially in her later years, because I mean our mother referred to it as the goat's nest. But we were all just kind of hanging out in there. Like some of us we're sitting opposite each other, just sort of like chilling. And we all like kind of perked up at the same time. Like it was because we felt like this air go by. And it was like, I think she just walked by. It was so weird. Like, we're like, what? It's a Nana? But I don't know. Sometimes you'll be somewhere and you hear something or you smell something, or, sometimes I ask for a familiar to appear. Like if I want to connect with like my dog, I'll be like, hey, send me one of those, blue jays or something. Or if I see a blue jay, and for Nana, it's the flicker, which is in the woodpecker family, because when we were little and like we'd go to reach for something and she wanted to stop us, she'd go, ah, and the flicker goes, so it reminds me of Nana. So anyway, sidebar. But so there's many ways to connect to the other side on a daily basis, but for some reason, like this time of year, I don't know, I start to feel things more. I feel more tired. My dreams become more vivid to the point where like you wake up and you think that you're still dreaming, but you're awake. It's like you've woken up from the dream in the dream, but you're actually awake. I don't know. It's freaking weird. But anyway, you and I both had weird dreams on the same night a few days ago. And, Amy has more. How can I be polite? Amy's got more issues with mom and dad than I do, or they're different. They're on a different level
Yeah, they're
because of
just different.
the experiences that we had. But there's definitely, you have the memory of mom and dad where I don't have that. And what happened
when they
to
were
you?
together.
Yes, when they were together as a child, where I don't have that memory. I only have, glimpses in my mind. So for you, if we can air quote the word connection with mom and dad isn't so much like of a loving child to parent. It's more of like karmic ties of things that have happened, right? So anyway, tell them about your freaking dream. This is funny.
Yeah. First, I want to go backtrack a little bit. El Dia El Dia de los Muertos is a Mexican. It's celebrated in the Mexican culture. It's
There
not
you
just
go.
across Latin America. So I just wanted to make that correction, and I knew that. I don't know why that flew out of my mouth.
You were
But
trying to
anyway,
be PC.
well, that and I'm like brain dead, which is what we're talking about right now. But yeah, I had this extremely vivid dream where the first part was mom and dad, present day. And our dad is right now pretty decrepit. He's had some falls and some issues and things like that. And mom had taken him in to her house or to Nana's house. And he was living there and she was being like this happy homemaker, making coffee and everything. And I'm standing there saying, what are you doing? Why is he living here? And then the next scene, we're in the living room of Nana's house. And now it's like decades earlier. They look much younger and they're sitting side by side on this old kind of rust orange couch that used to be in Nana's living room. And I'm standing there in front of them trying to explain to them why I don't call them or talk to them. And, I have a karmic relationship with you guys and it's over, and Suzie in my dream was sitting in Nan's old armchair to my left, egging me on or like rooting me on. And she was like, do it, say it, go, go, go. Let him have it. Go, speak your truth, hence the purpose of this podcast. But anyway, dad was just sitting there like, well, I know I'm a bad dad, but gosh, and mom just got like this bitter look on her face and she said, well, I was the one that gave you all the sweets and candy. And that's where the dream ended. And I was like, okay. So clearly I have some inner stuff. I still have some inner dialogue going on, things that I want to express to mom, I think especially, but I know she's not going to hear it. And so it's a struggle for me, right? It won't land the way I need it to land. So I think I have these conversations with her in my dreams, sometimes to myself when I'm wide awake, as a way to communicate and get it off my chest because she can't like push back, and maybe on some level her spirit hears it or listens to it. She may not hear it and understand it, but she listens to it. But then I had a nasty dream about a tarantula. But anyway, so yeah, the dreams are like kicking right now.
Yeah, I mean, and it leaves a lot to interpret. I mean, like, so your dream being more complex, mine was way more simple, but yet symbolic. Because so I know we've discussed I work in a grocery store, but at work this whole last week, there's been an email almost every day saying, "Hey, be careful when you stock the green grapes because there's been these huge black widows, and you don't just want to stick your hand in and go like, hello." So anyway, so I've been telling all my coworkers when I see them like wheeling the green grapes out, I'm like, be careful. Black widows could be in there. And so I woke up from this crazy dream about like just like Black Widow stuff. And I went to look because you think, oh my God, Black Widows are coming to me in dreams. I'm like, well, wait a minute. I've been saying it all week at work. And then you're like, well, wait a minute, even maybe getting those emails prior to the dream in itself is a spiritual sign. And the dream's just like reinforcing like, hey, you should look up what Black Widow spirit meaning is. So that's the life that you and I live. Like when things repeat themselves or, numbers or feathers or winged messengers or insect, it doesn't matter. Like, I've been in situations where I'm like walking home from the bus and I've got my head down and I'm like, gosh, I just hope I'm making the right decision. And I look down and I literally notice like a grasshopper keeps like moving in front of me and then moving with me. And I realize like grasshoppers can only go sideways and forward. They can't go back. So I'm like, I'm supposed to keep going forward, It's like noticing all those things. But for me, the Black Widow thing actually had everything to do with like just reiterating this new position I've taken at work and having that confidence and that it is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like badass warrior shit. Like that's
Yeah.
what I took away from the meaning. Not that like the Black Widow of death is coming for me in my dreams.
Dreams are very rarely like that. But if you dream of creatures or animals of any kind, it's always important to go and look them up. Look up the spiritual meaning of that animal, because that animal they have a spiritual message for you. I had that dream about the tarantula, and then the very next day I actually saw a large coyote on the other side of our fence in our backyard in broad daylight, and it was just completely synchronous when I saw him, and his head was like peeking around the wall, and it like freaked me out. So coyote and tarantula, if you read about both, I mean, they can go into a lot of detail, but one word that popped out for both of those creatures was patience. And I know I've been struggling with that lately on a number of different levels. So it's important when you start seeing, like Suzie saw the grasshopper on her path, dreaming, seeing, all creatures are messengers, especially when they're highly circumstantial. And it's like, my gosh, that was weird. The moment you say that, you should substitute that was weird with, oh, that was meant to be. What's the message? So, and now that we're moving toward October 31st, dreams are probably going to pick up. Pay attention to them, because the veil is thin. It's always thinnest between 2 and 4 a.m. So if you find yourself dreaming more during those times, that's why. But Halloween, All Hallows Eve, is when the veil is the thinnest, and it's the best time to connect with those who have crossed over, or for them to connect with you if you're open to it.
Right, but we're not talking about like Ouija boards and spirit boards, whatever, and seances.
No.
We're just talking about, we sit here going through this life in our living world, and all around us, we always have our angels and our guides and our ancestors that are there. All we have to do is tap in, or like I said, like ask for a sign. Like sometimes I'll be like, my dog Karma, I'll be like, yeah, I'm really feeling that Karma is close to me right now, and I will ask, like, if that's the case, then show me this in the spirit world. Or sometimes a feather will appear in my path or something.
What about Muffine and her rainbows for your trip here?
Oh my God,
that's a great example.
Oh my God,
of that.
I totally, Jesus, but yes. So I live in Vancouver, Washington. Literally, you could call it Portland, Oregon. So I live like 5 miles from Portland Airport. And so a few weeks ago, I went down to visit Amy. She lives in Southern California, and it's so funny. I never carry luggage on ever. I always check my luggage, and I had this really amazing candle that I wanted, this Palo Santo candle I wanted to bring Amy, but I was like, okay, well, I just wrapped it in the suitcase and brought it through security with me. And in all my years of flying, I have never had security pull me over and open the suitcase. And that's exactly what they did. And while they're like trying to get that sucker zippered back up, I feel my phone vibrating in my pocket, and I don't want to pull my phone out because I know I'm on camera and stuff. And of course it's Amy calling me. So I get through all this crap with security, and I get to the other side. I'm like, great, now I can walk to my gate and pull the phone out, and there's a text message from Amy that's just like, call me now. And her husband had just tested positive for COVID, and I'm about to get on a plane, and I was like, damn it. And so the Delta terminal at Portland International Airport, it's beautiful. There's a long walkway to get there with these floor-to-ceiling windows. And so I told Amy, I'm like, look, I just have to think about this, and I'll call you back. And so I was sitting in this chair looking out this window, and all I can see is like the runway, and like it was beautiful, like every kind of cloud you can imagine, but it was cloudy and rainy with little spots of sun here and there. And I had a cat named Muffin. That's a whole nother podcast. But anyway, she passed away very suddenly and very young. And I know for a fact she is one of my spirit guides. And I know
that
she's
cat
always
was a sage.
Yeah, I know she's always closest to me and connecting with me when I see a rainbow. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, gosh, I wonder if I should just go, or do I need to stay? Like, I don't know what the best thing to do is. And all of a sudden I look up, and there's a freaking rainbow. And I'm like, Muffin, I get all excited and blah, blah, blah. Take a picture of it and I call Amy. And I'm like, well, Muffin just sent me a rainbow, but I don't know if it was for yes or no. And now like I'm like looking at the sky and I'm like, well, there's no way that Muffin's going to pull another rainbow out of her ass right now like that. And I said, but we'll just put it out there. I'm like, if you want me to go, show me another rainbow. And not 5 minutes later, another freaking rainbow appeared and I took a picture of it. It was bigger than the first one.
Yeah. It was
and
a
I was
full
on the
arc.
phone with Amy and I was like, I'll see you in a few hours. So, sometimes you just have to not believe in that, but just you feel it. Like I feel it. Like when I see a rainbow, I almost burst into tears out of joy because it's just Muffin. Like just I see her head, like the rainbow. Like
and both of us. I mean, we distanced from my husband, as best we could, but both of us were fine. We went about our business. Nobody got sick. We went to Disneyland.
And then,
so
2 days after I was there, he tested negative or whatever. So
yeah, and even as Susie was observing Muffine's rainbows, I was throwing down cards and doing pendulum, and it all said yes, yes, yes. And so Susie goes, "But can you be partial?"
Yeah, you're like, I'm trying not to be angry. I see her like slapping the cards down. Damn it!
But I meditated on it. But Muffine just gave us confirmation. So, but anyway,
but
so
it is so amazing to just like, we go through this life. And we have to really stop and think. And I do this so much more now than I ever used to. Just stop and think like, I am just a soul in this meat suit in this life. And we are just never alone. Like we are always surrounded by spirits in some way, shape, or form. And when you get messages through dreams and feathers or a smell or a song came on last night that reminded me of someone that I haven't thought about in a while. Oh my God, I haven't heard that song in forever. Just there's so many, you just have to pay attention because you're constantly being talked to. So there's an openness that comes from you. And just to always remember, and I think this is the most important thing, that nothing is ever bad, right? Here we go. Things happen for you, not to you.
Right.
So it took me 45, 46 years to realize that, but just framing your mind, it really eliminates a lot of negativity from your life. And the sacrificial lamb syndrome will not get you.
That's right.
I'm going off on a tangent. But anyway, yeah, so we just wanted to come on here for a minute and just share some experiences we're having as
a few
22 minutes. Halloween is certainly one of my favorite times of year for the simple fact, that I love fall, but also that it really is just a special time of year for like that extra connection with the spirit world. And maybe if you have questions that have been plaguing you and, you got a loved one or a pet on the other side, ask for a sign from spirit and wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, we have those dreams because that's when our minds are the most open for spirit to get in.
Right.
That's when our minds are the most active, right? Am I wrong in saying that?
No, it's true. And so, I guess we can say for your Whiskachik homework, whether it's Halloween or any day of the year, pay attention to your surroundings. If an animal, a little creature happens to cross your path, or butterflies are big. They're angels and spirits. Especially if an animal crosses your dream, take a moment and look it up and meditate on it. Not meditate, but just kind of, ponder it and receive the message, because it may give you something you've been waiting to hear. You never know, and give you some enlightenment.
So, would you like to assign the homework then?
Yeah, that is the homework.
Oh, what was the homework? Sorry, I missed that.
You don't pay attention to me. No, just that whether it's Halloween or any day of the year, start paying more attention to your dreams. And if an animal creature of any kind appears to you in a dream, look it up. Take a moment to look it up and see how you can relate that spiritual message to your current life in some way. Or if an animal, something strange crosses your path, it's a sign. Look it up. Take a moment. So yeah, just kind of start paying attention to your surroundings and take a moment.
Ooh, I might be inventing something. If you want a little bit of extra credit homework, because this is something that I've been reading about lately, and I haven't hardcore tried it yet. But sometimes when you're wanting signs from spirit, or maybe an answer or some guidance, to not necessarily in prayer, but just like in conversation, open-minded, sort of meditative, ask for it before you go to sleep. To come into the dreams. Like in my dreams, like, tell me something good. Anyway, sorry. All right, well, we're going to end it there because we've been talking long enough today. Just kidding.
Right.
All right, well, thank you for joining us once again. And until next time, we know what old Nan would say.
Be true to yourself.